From the heart of Europe, beyond the headlines, and straight into the stories that shaped life in Luxembourg. This is a space for open and informed debate, where tough questions are asked, controversial topics are unpacked, and voices too often overlooked or suppressed finally get the spotlight. Welcome to another episode of Because It's Luxembourg.
Hello and welcome to Because It's Luxembourg, your independent source of news and opinions. Today, in the name of the public interest, we will offer you a glimpse of what you might encounter should you ever find yourself before a criminal court in Luxembourg. These episodes provide a brief look at how the legal system can sometimes function when someone finds himself on the wrong side of the fence. Being a part of Luxembourg society, we want to believe we are part of something special. And that is exactly what the Luxembourg government and the institutions attempts to convince us of with their official narrative. If you watch Luxembourg TV, read the newspapers, follow Luxembourg media that are, by the way, predominantly controlled by the state, or if you visit the government website, Let's Make It Happen, you will learn that Luxembourg would like to reinforce positive perceptions to overcome stereotypes and prejudice. But this is at least what the website indicates, presenting among other things Luxembourg objectives, vision, and values. Luxembourg aims to be recognized as a modern, dynamic, open-minded, and reliable society where creativity, diversity, and sustainability thrive. The government and national institutions seeks to position the country as a leading financial center, as well as innovative and environmentally friendly economy. They do that through a range of initiatives and a shared objective of making Luxembourg a better place. Luxembourg, proud of its heritage, looking into the future, wants to set example as an inclusive and egalitarian society, where justice, on one hand, and equality on the other, are at the helm of the values and objectives Luxembourg government stands for and advocates. But do we truly live in the type of society the Luxembourg government claims we are part of? Every democracy lies upon three pillars, three branches of government: executive, legislative, and judicial. They are separate yet interconnected. The essential part of the judicial branch in a democratic state is to interpret and apply the law fairly and independently. The judicial branch is the guardian of the law of the land and the Constitution, ensuring that justice, fairness, and the rule of law are maintained and delivered to everyone equally, without any form of prejudice or discriminatory practices. Luxembourg Constitution, on the other hand, assures that when you are in court and stand before a judge, it doesn't matter where you come from or what the color of your skin is. It is irrelevant what is your religious beliefs, sexual orientation, ethnic background, social status, your gender or sex. The law, by definition, should not care about your political affiliation, if you are connected or related to someone influential in the country, or whether you are rich or poor. Today we have two cases to discuss, both from Luxembourg criminal courts. One from January 2025 and the other one from January 2026. The first one is the case of Jean Billan, a former principal of Lycée Clairvaux, a legal affair widely publicized by Luxembourg media and the press in the last years. With the court decision available for public review and published on justice.lu, a Luxembourg government official website. The second case concerned a Luxembourg resident who has lived in Luxembourg for over 15 years. Someone that could be any of us. Both individuals had no prior criminal convictions or criminal record, but both, for one reason or the other, were suspected of possession of illegal weapons. As it usually happens under these kind of circumstances, a search warrant was issued against both individuals. In Jean Billa's case, police first searched his office in the Lycée in Clairvaux, where he was a principal at that point in time. The following day, the search took place in his house. Similar procedure was introduced with regards to the other individuals. When searching Billa's office, a butterfly knife was found in his desk, a weapon considered illegal in Luxembourg. During the search of his house, numerous illegal weapons, including firearms, were discovered. An alarm pistol, a Category B-22 weapon, illegal in Luxembourg without authorization, an extreme air rifle with a muzzle energy of 9.852 joules, Category B-28 weapon, also illegal without a permit, a rifle Category B-4 weapon, illegal without authorization, a smooth-bore shotgun caliber 16, Category B-6 weapon, also illegal without authorization. Canister of tear gas was also introduced. In the other case, search discovered a set of knives and a telescopic baton. Both individuals were presented with accusations. They went to court. They didn't like the verdict in the first instance, so they appealed to the decisions. During the proceedings in the Dickish Criminal Court, Jean Billa, represented by his attorney Mark Becker, claimed that the illegal knife found in his desk in the office was not his. He also explained that all the illegal weapons and firearms found in his house he inherited from his late mother along with the house. As grotesque as it may sound, Jean Billa's explanations, accepted by the court, can lead to only one logical conclusion. Since all the weapons allegedly belonged to his late mother, it seems that until passing of Mrs. Billa, we had a Grandma Rambo in Luxembourg. You can of course make a mockery of the court, the justice, and the judges. But the fact remains that Jean Billa was in possession of numerous illegal weapons and firearms. Whether he got them from his mother, a tooth fairy, or a Santa Claus remains irrelevant. Jean Billa was required by law to report possession of illegal firearms to Luxembourg authorities, and he failed to do so. Reading the decision, it seems this little detail was omitted by the court, brushed over by the police, and clearly not taken into consideration throughout the proceedings. It was probably fairly easy for the investigation to use the serial numbers of the illegal weapons found in Billa's home and establish the year of production, as well as the date of purchase of the guns. Yet, there's no information in the decision that this was even investigated. Perhaps because this could have established the true source of the guns and the year of purchase, which possibly could have gone counter to Jean Billa's story. In addition, Jean Billa, when in court, argued that if he was convicted and received a sentence with a criminal record, this would have had a devastating consequence on his private and professional life, obviously with a criminal record preventing him from securing a job in the future. Considering his arguments, the presiding three judges, Judge Robert Velter, Judge Jean-Claude Wirth, and Judge Sylvia Alves, used Articles 621 and 629-1 of the Code of Criminal Procedure and suspended the pronouncement of the conviction, allowing it to be probationary. As a result, Jean Billa, although found guilty, walked away with no prison time, 12 months probation, €16 administrative fee, and no criminal record. Job well done. Congratulations to Jean Billa, and hats off to Mark Becker, the attorney who represented him. I emailed Mr. Becker twice and called him on 2 different occasions. Unfortunately, Mr. Becker was not available for a comment. Unlike Jean Billa, who claimed that the illegal guns found in his house belonged to his deceased mother, the other man acknowledged that the legally purchased knives and telescopic baton belonged to him. As a result, during the first instance criminal court proceedings, Judge Stephen Mass, with Judge Aisha Pereira and Judge David Shedgen to his sides, presented the man with 2 options. that he either so-called voluntarily agreed to perform compulsory work instead of financial penalty or face potential imprisonment of 12 months. As the hearing was public, this is of course verifiable in many different ways. When in Court of Appeal and appealing to that verdict, the man in question used Jean Billa's decision as jurisprudence and part of his defense, presenting the same arguments as Billa's attorney, requesting suspension of the pronouncement of his conviction. The request was denied. As a result, the decision of Judge Stephen Maas was upheld, sentencing the man to 185 hours of compulsory work, with a conviction resulting in a criminal record. Michelle Erpelding, appointed to represent the prosecution, stated during the hearing that the man in question had to learn his lesson. She also claimed that the man could not use Jean Billa's case in his defense because the cases were different. Well, it's true. The cases were similar, but indeed very different. Jean Billa was found with numerous illegal firearms, illegal knife and canister of tear gas, and the other man with a set of knives and telescopic baton. Unfortunately, Mrs. Erpelding didn't really specify what, in her opinion, were the differences between the two cases. She also didn't explain the reason behind a favorable treatment of Jean Billa and a severe approach towards the other men. The judges from Court of Appeal, Judge Maris Mackel, Judge Marianne Mayers, and Judge Caroline Engel, in addition to upholding the decision of Judge Maas, produced a verdict that did not respond to the request for suspension and did not give reasons for granting the request. The fact that Jean Billa's case was used as a reference point during the hearing was also not included in the verdict. Based on numerous independent legal opinions, the judgment, by absence of reasoning, could have violated the following laws: Articles 109 of the Luxembourg Constitution, Article 195 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, as well as Article 6, Paragraph 1 of the European Convention of Human Rights. Nothing mattered to the prosecution and the court throughout the proceedings. All arguments were dismissed and requests rejected, even though suspended sentence would have better served the interest of justice rather than an immediate criminal conviction, particularly given no prior record, the man's good reputation, and the significant risk of irreparable harm on his personal life, future employment opportunities, professional development, and career. The fact that the individual in question, while advocating for children's rights in Luxembourg and assisting parents during custody proceedings, had numerous run-ins with the Luxembourg Prosecutor's Office in recent years, of course had nothing to do with the approach the prosecution and the court chose to take with regards to his case. The same goes for the fact that on behalf of the organization, the man in question dared to file reports concerning unethical behavior, exposing certain influential Luxembourg children's attorneys, and presenting undisputed evidence confirming lies, deception, and cover-ups, with everything swept under the rug by Luxembourg authorities. This surely also had no influence on the way the man's case was handled. The two men's proceedings refer to the law of 2022, which adopts an extremely broad functional definition of a weapon, including pretty much any object capable of causing injury, depending on its potential use, including sharp, blunt, or ordinary tools. Under the law in question, the definition of a prohibited weapon is not based on objective characteristics, but rather on hypothetical or contextual use. As a result, everyday objects that are lawfully owned for legitimate purposes can fall within the definition. This makes it difficult for individuals to predict whether a particular object might be classified as a prohibited weapon. The law also attempts to distinguish permitted knives from prohibited ones through a series of highly technical criteria, including blade length, width ratios, opening mechanism, and deployment characteristics. These requirements involve precise measurements and technical knowledge that are not intuitive for non-specialists. As a result, even minor design differences can become decisive factors in determining criminal liability. For example, certain tools with significant cutting capacity like knives, axes, machetes, sabers, swords, kukri are frequently treated as lawful depending on context, while less dangerous items may be prosecuted as prohibited weapons, demonstrating statutory ambiguity. Furthermore, the law of 2022 does not expressly classify emergency tools, rescue hammers, or small knives with pointed ends, leaving post hoc judicial interpretation as the only source of classification. Application of the law frequently hinges on the context rather than precise statutory markers, undermining forcibility and legal certainty. Although the law regarding prohibited weapons such as knives is evidently full of flaws and often described off the record by police officers and lawyers as retarded, the same law is very clear regarding firearms. Jean Billa, a Luxembourgish citizen, a locally known former high school principal, and allegedly someone affiliated with one of the Luxembourg political parties, was found guilty, with numerous illegal firearms and weapons found in his house and in his office. Despite his offense, Billa faced limited legal consequences, no imprisonment, and no criminal record. The other man, an ordinary Luxembourg resident, guilty of possession of set of knives and telescopic baton, faced unproportional and devastating sentence for his personal and professional life. So why did these two men facing similar accusations end up with dramatically different outcomes? Was it because one of them did not have a Grandma Rambo in his family? Was justice served, where the rule of law is applied without prejudice and discrimination? Or was it simply because it's Luxembourg, a place where the official slogan, "Let's make it happen," seems to live up to expectations, where justice and fairness appear contingent on whom they are applied against? The story may be over for Jean Billa, but not for the other man. His case is currently with the Luxembourg Supreme Court. If not successful in getting the case returned for another review in the Luxembourg Court of Appeal, the man will take appropriate legal actions against the Luxembourg state, filing a claim with the European Court of Human Rights, exposing on an international level a violation of the non-discriminatory principle, violation of human rights, violations of the Luxembourg Constitution, violation of Luxembourg Criminal Code, raising accusations for discriminatory practices associated with the legal proceedings used against him in the Luxembourg Court of Law. Someone may ask why we even bother to present these verdicts, as this is most likely an isolated case. Well, as a matter of fact, this is just a tip of an iceberg. The thing is that while we may not be familiar with many cases from the criminal court, we are familiar with cases from the Luxembourg Family Court that is in charge of children custody proceedings post-separation and divorce. This episode marks the beginning of a segment in Because It's Luxembourg, examining different cases from Luxembourg courts, highlighting nepotism, hypocrisy, incompetence, gender discrimination, ideologically driven decisions, violation of human rights, as well as other decisions that profoundly affect Luxembourg children, Luxembourg families, and the lives of many of us who live in Luxembourg. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned and see you next time.
For more information, visit our website bieltv.lu. where you will find links to our podcasts on different platforms. If you like to share your story, reach out to us using our email address, contact@beeltv.lu. Stay tuned for other episodes, and see you next time.